Hey everybody, Dr. Joe here on this hot Wednesday evening here in the Washington, D.C. area. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. And as usual, let me know who you are, where you're calling in from. I'll definitely give you a shout out. Today we're going to have a good session. We're going to talk about negotiations. And let's have a look. What are we going to talk about? The art of negotiations. How to win the best deals in real estate. We all know that negotiation is it's one of those things we have to deal with when you're really doing real estate investing. You're going to have to negotiate the purchase. You're going to have to negotiate the financing. You're going to have to negotiate the contractors. You're going to have to negotiate with the tenants for the rents and so on. So it's a constant thing. And your ability to negotiate will, to a certain extent, will determine how successful you are, your returns on your investment, and whether you'll be successful or not. Anyway, so that's what we're going to focus on today. But before I get too far, I just want to give a little shout out to everybody that attended the last Saturday's event here in Washington, D.C., where we're at Corliss and Fitz's house. And we did a deep dive in real time with their property here in Washington, D.C. It was a very, very successful event. Great feedback. I think everybody that came enjoyed it. We had some people traveling for long distances. We had some people from Ohio came. We had some people from London came. We had some people from other parts of the country. But we had a great turnout, great event, great interaction. It was supposed to go from 11 to 1. I didn't leave there until 4 o'clock. So we're 3 hours. That's the level of engagement that took place. So when we have the next one, I strongly recommend that if you're available and you're able to, you should come to the next one, which will probably be in a couple of months from now. We're going to do one at Corliss's house again, once hopefully they'll finish their project. Also, Charles, who I'm helping also on another deal, we'll probably maybe do one at his house in the next month or so, and so on. So give it a chance to see another person taking action, pursuing their financial independence goals, and so forth. So listen out, look out for that one. But in the meantime, the art of negotiations, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, if you got some, if you want to give a shout out, put your questions in the chat box, and so on. So, and also, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, where we can deep dive into your issues or questions you may have, that I really don't have the time to do it on the Wealth Wednesdays because it's only a limited amount of time I can go through each question. But if you feel that I can be assistance with you on a deep dive on one of your projects or a question that you may have or an issue or a challenge that you're facing, then feel free to book a one-on-one with me. Go to www.joeasimo.com and press the Ask Dr. Joe button to schedule time. And again, if you got some questions, please put in the chat box, and we'll get to that in about 25 minutes or so. So again, the art of negotiations, how to win the best deals in real estate is the focus of today's Wealth Wednesday. So why is mastering negotiation crucial for real estate investors? Why should you be interested in this topic? Why is it important? And as I said before, mastering negotiation is really crucial for real estate investors because it directly impacts your ability to secure financing, favorable terms, reduce costs, and also to increase your profitability. It's really important in terms if you want to secure favorable terms on anything that you get, reduce costs, and also to increase profitability. Effective negotiation skills enable investors like you to navigate complex transactions, handle objections, and close deals that align with your financial goals. Okay, and so by learning and applying proven negotiation techniques, investors like you and I can build stronger relationships. We can uncover hidden opportunities, and also we can achieve a competitive edge in a very dynamic environment that we're in today. So it's really important. So negotiating is, I just want to say from the get-go, negotiation is really not just about getting the lowest price. It's not that. I mean, that's important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's about really creating value and finding win-win solutions that benefit all the parties involved, not just you, but I think you can walk away where everyone's happy. They may not have got everything that they wanted, but at least they're happy with the results, and so on. So really successful, investors understand the importance, really importance of preparation, understanding the other party's needs, and also being able to adapt your strategies based on the situation at hand. Okay, so it's really important to prepare, understand who you're going to negotiate with, what are their needs, and you may have to adapt accordingly in the event that you can't get all you want. Well, this is all the things we're going to cover today in today's Wealth Wednesday live stream. So this approach leads, I think, in my opinion, to more successful outcomes and longer term relationships that can provide future opportunity. Real estate is a long term game. It's not just about transactions, it's about building relationships. So for those people who think that it's a zero sum game, I win, you lose, or you lose, I win kind of thing, I think I'm missing the point. In the end, sometimes you give and take. You don't always get what you want, but over the long haul, relationships are really that important. So negotiation skills are essential for managing all aspects of the real estate life cycle, from acquisition to financing to renovations to renting and so forth. So investors who can effectively negotiate with sellers, with lenders, with contractors, and with tenants are really better equipped to manage their portfolio efficiently and more profitably. So this skill is vital, and hopefully I set the tone. We're going to break down today's session into 6 parts and so on. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 is understanding the psychology of negotiations. Understanding the psychology is not just, to be effective, I think you need to understand what's driving the other party. And to a certain extent, you need to understand what their needs, fears, and concerns, what's important to them, okay? I'm not trying to say you need to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist major or a PhD or whatever. No, I'm not saying that. It's just that I think it's important to understand the psychology of negotiation. So how can understanding the psychology of negotiation improve your deal-making skills? So I've introduced the term psychology. So how can understanding the psychology of negotiations improve your deal-making skills? So understanding the psychology of negotiations can really significantly enhance your ability to close favorable deals. The psychological aspects of negotiation involve several things. Recognizing and leveraging the cognitive biases, some of the emotional components, and also some of the interpersonal dynamics of the other parties. So there's some sort of, I know I threw in some big words here: cognitive biases, emotional intelligence, and interpersonal dynamics. I think these are important things. So knowing how to read the other party's emotions and body language, as well as being aware of your own, can provide really crucial insights into their true motivations and also their concerns. One key psychological principle is the concept of what they call anchoring. And the anchoring is where you sort of first offer you make the first offer, and that sort of sets off the tone for the negotiations. So it lets people know this is what you're asking for, okay? And skilled negotiators use this technique to their advantage because they make their first offer. Often it's not their final offer, but it's that, if all the stars were aligned, this is what I would like to get. Okay, so it's sort of ambitious. You may think it's reasonable to influence the negotiations to trajectory. Okay, so for example, if you see a house, it's listed at, I don't know, 400,000. You may say, well, okay, I want to offer 325. And knowing that the seller's probably not going to accept it. But at least it lets them know where you're standing from, and you use that as a point, as a starting point for negotiation. So at least you set the tone. Otherwise, they're going to say, "I want 400,000," and then it could be, I just say, this approach anyway. It gives you the opportunity to set your marker first, okay? And so by making small, so really. Let's have a look. So skill, it's sort of based on the concept of what we call reciprocity. Okay, i.e., you're not going to get what you asked for, but you're going to start making some concessions. So you start slowly but surely going up, but you may trade going up with something else. So it's like a bartering. And so by making small strategic concessions, you can encourage the other party to reciprocate, and hopefully you'll come to a middle ground that is acceptable to both you and them. So another thing is the importance of building rapport and trust. Again, it's all psychological. It's building rapport and trust. People are more likely to agree terms with someone that they trust and feel connected to. Okay, so you need to take the time to build a connection with the other party, because if you do get that, there's a better chance that you can actually come to terms. Okay, so people are more likely to do that if they trust you and feel connected to you. And this involves what we call active listening. Shut up, listen to what the other party is saying, showing empathy, and being honest and also transparent in your communication. I want to repeat that again. Active listening. Listen to what their concerns are. Listen to what's motivating them. Listen to their fears and concerns. Take the time to listen. And you show empathy, i.e., I understand where you're coming from. I may not agree with it, but I understand. Okay, and you see the world from their perspective, because if you see the world from their perspective, then it gives you an upper hand when you start making some, when you start making some offers, and so on. Also being honest. If you can't do something, it's best to be honest. If you don't have the money or it's above your price point, be honest about it and be transparent about the process as well. So by creating a positive negotiating environment, you can reduce resistance, and also you can foster a collaborative atmosphere that hopefully will lead to a more mutually beneficial outcomes. Okay, so that's the psychological part. Again, we can go all night just talking about one thing, but we've got 6 to go through. So what are some of the action items you may want to consider as it pertains to the understanding of the psychology of negotiations? Learn about cognitive biases that people have. Study common biases like things like reciprocity, anchoring, loss of aversion, and things like that. So try to understand some of the biases that people have, and as part of the negotiation process, develop what I call emotional intelligence. This is another action item. Enhance your ability to read people and to respond to emotions and body language. Sometimes people don't always say what they say in their mouth. Their body sometimes does the talking for them. If they cross their hands, if they squirm, if they smile, if they're shaking their head, there are certain body signs that people give that if you can interpret those, it'll help you understand where they're coming from. Build trust and rapport. Use active listening and empathetic communications to establish a positive negotiating environment. And then finally, make the first offer. Use anchoring to set the tone and influence the direction of the negotiation. So that's number one, the psychological aspects of it. Now let's talk about preparing for the actual negotiations. Now we kind of understand where they're coming from. We understand the psychology. Let's prepare for the negotiation itself. So the question is, what steps should you take to prepare effectively for negotiations? What should you do before you actually enter the negotiations? How do you prepare? So what are the steps you should take to prepare? Effective preparation, I think, is the foundation of successful negotiations. It's almost like going for a job interview. You stand a better chance of getting the job if you prepare. Take the time to understand more about the company, the individuals that run the company, people that you may be interviewing. Do the research. You prepare the type of questions you're going to be asked, your responses to those questions, and so on, as opposed to just showing up and then winging it. So same thing with negotiations. Preparation is key. So effective preparation is the foundation for successful negotiation, in my opinion. So before entering the negotiations, it's crucial that you gather all relevant information about the property, if it's real estate, the market conditions, and other parties' motivations and constraints. What's driving the other party to even want to negotiate? What are the key things that's important to them, and so on. In addition to the market, the property, and things like that. This involves obviously thorough research on, for example, comparable properties, property values, market trends, the current market trends, and the specifics of the transaction that you're going to enter into. Okay, so if you do that, it sort of it helps you. Okay, so the more information you have, in my opinion, the better position you're going to be to make informed decisions and also to present what I call compelling arguments. Another important preparation step is setting clear objectives and priorities. Clear objectives and priorities. Define what you want to achieve, and from the negotiations, including your ideal outcome, your acceptable terms, and also what we call the walkaway points. Under what circumstances will you just walk away from the deal because it's just not worth the hassle? So having a clear understanding of your goals will help you stay focused and avoid making unnecessary concessions. Concessions that could compromise your overall strategy. Don't get too caught up in the hype, but prepare. Additionally, consider potential counter offers. If they make this offer, what's your counter? And develop strategies to address these things effectively. So preparation involves anticipating potential obstacles, developing a contingency plan, and think about the other party's objections and concerns and prepare responses that address those issues and reinforcing your position. Okay, so practicing negotiation techniques through role-playing scenarios can also help build confidence and refine your approach. If you, I think tomorrow, is the debates between President Biden and Donald Trump. So these guys are preparing, okay, or hopefully they're preparing anyway, and practicing, for the debate. It's a big deal. So, we want to do the same thing when we're going to enter in negotiation. We want to prepare, we want to practice. We have to think about what the objections of the other party is going to be, what's their concerns, what kind of responses are we going to give when they say certain things. So by being well prepared, you enter negotiations with a clear plan and the flexibility to adapt as things change. Okay, so what are some of the action items from preparing for negotiations? Conduct thorough research. I think I've said that. Gather detailed information about the property, the market conditions, and the other party's motivations. Set clear objectives. Define your goals, priorities, and walkaway points before entering into the negotiations. Develop counter offer strategies. Anticipate potential objections and prepare responses to address them effectively. And practice role playing. Simulate negotiations scenarios to build confidence and refine your techniques. So that's number 2. Let's go to number 3 of 6. Hopefully this is good stuff for you. And it's building strong relationships. It's all about relationships, as I said before. If you're in for the long haul, it's about relationships as opposed to just transactions. So the question then becomes, how can building strong relationships enhance your negotiation outcomes? How can building strong relationships enhance your negotiation outcome? Okay, so building strong relationships, in my opinion, is a critical component of successful negotiations. When parties trust and respect each other, they are more likely to work collaboratively towards a mutually beneficial outcome. Okay, if there's a relationship there, you'll work together. So establishing rapport involves more than just friendly chit chat and conversations. It requires demonstrating a genuine interest in the other party's needs and their concerns. You take the time to understand, and you are interested to understanding these things, and showing a willingness to find solutions that benefit both sides. Okay, so let me repeat that again. Establishing rapport involves more than just friendly conversation and chit-chat, and idle chit-chat. It requires you demonstrating genuine interest in the other party's needs and concerns, and showing a willingness to find solutions that benefit both sides. Okay, it's not just about lose-lose or what does it say? I win, you lose. No, it's let's try and get common ground. So hopefully, so we can create a win-win scenario. One effective way to build relationship is through active listening. By paying close attention to what the other party is saying, you can better understand their motivations and also identify possible areas of common ground. Okay, this not only helps you in crafting proposals that address their needs, but also shows that you value their perspective, which can lead to greater cooperation and flexibility. You're not dismissing their concerns. Just because you don't agree with them or believe in them, you shouldn't dismiss them. Active listening, trying to understand them, and then coming up with solutions or situations or proposals that takes that into account. Transparency and honesty are also essential parts of building trust. Being open about your intentions and your constraints can foster a sense of fairness and encourage the other party to reciprocate also. This approach can reduce the adversarial nature of negotiation and hopefully pave the way for more constructive discussions. Okay, so additionally, maintaining professionalism and respect, not dismissive or I know a lot of, let's say for example, a lot of landlords are very dismissive of Section 8 voucher holder tenants. They don't take the time to understand their situation. They're judgmental. Well, you got a voucher. You're milking. You're not working. You're idle. You're lazy. You're going to destroy my house. You're a welfare queen, and all those kind of dismissive tones. When in fact the reality could be completely different. And people make choices. You may not made the choice that they made. Maybe you wouldn't have made them, but but really to understand the world from their perspective, I think is a positive thing. That's what I do, and that's the reason why I think I've been quite successful. Renting to voucher holders, and they stay with me for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So, what are some of the action items associated with building strong relationships? Practice active listening. Focus on understanding the other party's needs and concerns to identify areas of common ground. Be transparent and honest. Communicate your intentions and constraints openly to foster a sense of fairness. Maintain professionalism and respect. Handle disagreements with professionalism to preserve the relationship for future negotiations. And fourth, show genuine interest. It demonstrates that you value the other party's perspective and are committed to finding mutually beneficial solutions. So that's that one. Let's before I get too far, enter again. Put your questions in the chat box if you got some questions, and we're gonna go to Q&A in about 10 minutes. So if you got some questions for me, it could be on any subject, anything to do with real estate. Please put them in the chat box, and I will get to them in about a few minutes. And also, if you want to book a one-on-one session with me where we can deep dive your situation, your problem, your concern that you have, you can schedule a one-on-one. Go to my website, joeasamoah.com, www.joeasamoah.com, and I will be more than happy to set up a time, or you can set up a time that works for you as well. Okay, so let's keep moving. Number 4 of 6. Now we're actually into the negotiations itself. We've prepared for it, and we kind of we've built the relationship, and now we have to negotiate the terms and conditions. So what strategies, I suppose the next question is, what strategies can help you negotiate favorable terms and conditions? What strategies can help you negotiate favorable terms and conditions? Well, negotiating favorable terms and conditions requires a combination of what I call strategic planning and effective communications. One key strategy is to prioritize, your most important items or terms, and be willing to make concessions on less critical. What's the must-haves, and what's the sort of, if I don't get this, then it's okay, and so on. So another way of saying it is pick your battles. What things can you just let go? And what items it's like a line in the sand that you can't give away. So this approach really allows you to focus on securing the aspects of the deal that are most beneficial to you, while demonstrating flexibility, which can facilitate a much more cooperative negotiation process. Okay, so effective negotiators also use this principle of reciprocity. I mentioned that too. earlier on to their advantage. By making small concessions early in the negotiations, you can encourage the other party to reciprocate with concessions of their own. And this give and take dynamic helps build momentum towards a mutually acceptable agreement for all parties. So, additionally, framing your proposals in terms of benefits to the other party. So, my proposals are, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to twist it in such a way or articulate it in such a way that I highlight the benefits for you, and not just me, but for you. And so, the idea is to make the offer more appealing and also increase the likelihood of acceptance by the other party. So understanding and leveraging there's another term which I learned about. It's called BATNA, B-A-T-N-A, B-A-T-N-A, B-A-T-N-A. That is the best alternatives to a negotiated agreement. B-A-T-A, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. That's another strategy that I learned that some people use as part of the negotiation. So knowing your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, provides you with a benchmark for evaluating offers and ensures that you do not agree to unfavorable terms simply just to reach an agreement. So it's the best alternative. So what's the best? If all fails, am I okay with that? Rather than just settling for something because we've negotiated it. Sometimes it's just better just let it go. So what's your best alternative? If you don't get the terms that you think are acceptable to you, do you have a plan B? Do you have an alternative that's acceptable to you as well? So it also provides you the confidence to walk away from a deal that does not meet your minimum requirements, knowing that you have viable alternatives. Okay? So what are some of the action items associated with negotiating terms and conditions? Prioritize key terms. Focus on securing the most important aspects of the deal and willing to make concessions on less critical points. Use reciprocity. Make small concessions to encourage the other party to reciprocate. And the goal is to build momentum towards an agreement. 3, know your BATNA, your best alternative to negotiated agreement. Understand your best alternatives to evaluate offers effectively and to avoid unfavorable terms. And finally, frame your proposals positively. Present your proposals in terms of benefits to the other party to increase their appeal. And then number 5 of 6. It's now 7:29. We're good. 7:30. Handling objections and conflicts. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I'll definitely get to them shortly. Any question pertaining to real estate is fine. Okay, so handling objections and conflicts. You're definitely going to come into that. So how can you effectively handle objections and conflicts during negotiations? Well, handling objections and conflicts is a critical skill, really, in negotiation, as it can determine whether discussions move forward to a successful resolution or they break down and everybody is unhappy and pointing fingers and so on. So one effective approach is to view objections as opportunities to gain a deeper understanding of the other party's concerns, and then you address them constructively. So instead of dismissing objections outright, you ask probing questions to clarify the issues, and you demonstrate empathy towards their position. So another strategy is to remain calm and composed when conflicts arise. Emotional reactions can escalate tensions and derail negotiations. So by maintaining your composure and focusing on finding solutions, you can create a more productive atmosphere. Techniques such as active listeners, again, acknowledging the other party's feelings and using I statements to express your perspective can help de-escalate sort of competitive situation or conflicting situation and foster a more collaborative dialogue. And reframing objectives is also something that you may want to consider. And then finally, I'm going to go to closing the deal. What are the key steps to successfully closing the real estate negotiations? Closing the real estate negotiations successfully requires a clear strategy and effective communications. One of the key steps is to ensure that all parties have a clear understanding of the terms and conditions of the agreement. And also, this involves summarizing the main points in the deal. And also, you want to sort of provide a clear, concise communications to help prevent misunderstanding. I.e., you think you got a deal, everyone thinks they got a deal, but the devil's in the detail, and you overlook that. So you want to kind of document that, make sure everyone's on the same page, and make necessary corrections, accordingly. So this may involve making last-minute adjustments or clarifications to the agreement, and obviously it's important to be flexible and willing to accommodate reasonable requests. And finally, documenting the agreement in writing is also essential to formalize the deal. This includes drafting a detailed contract that outlines all agreed terms and conditions, and also having the agreement in writing prevents disputes and provides a clear framework for the transactions. So with that said, my friend, let's go on to a conclusion. Let's wrap this up. Okay, in conclusion, how can mastering negotiation skills transform your real estate investments? So mastering negotiation skills can transform your investment in several ways. It helps you secure a better deal, reduce costs, and also increase profitability. Effective negotiations is not just about getting the lowest price. It's about creating value and finding win-win solutions that benefit all parties. By understanding the psychology of negotiations, preparing thoroughly, building strong relationships, and handling objections effectively, you can navigate complex transactions with confidence and to achieve your financial goals. So learning from the experience of successful investors provides valuable insights into strategies that work. And also, whether you are negotiating the acquisition of a new property, financing the terms, or renovating contracts, having strong negotiation skills can make a significant difference in the outcomes of the investment. So by continuously honing on your skills, and hopefully I've shared with you some good ideas, you can be resilient, and hopefully you'll end up with some profitable real estate deals and a profitable real estate portfolio. So hopefully the lessons and the advice and the information I shared with you during this live stream will help you as you master the art of negotiation in achieving your financial independence goals. So with that said, my friends, that is it. So again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and I will definitely try to get to them in a second. So please put your questions in. And if you want to book a one-on-one with me, then you can go to my website and joeasamoah.com and schedule a one-on-one. Press the Ask Dr. Joe button. And also, if you want to email me, you can send me an email. You can email me to joe@joeasamoah.com. I'll do my best to be responsive on my emails. And so on. So, okay, I've got a lot of. Okay, I'm gonna have to. So, if you got some questions, please put in the chat. But otherwise, I'm gonna have to wrap it up a little early today because I got an emergency I need to take care of. So again, thanks for everyone coming out last Saturday. Had a great time, and looking forward to the next one with Corliss and Fitz. And also, we'll probably do another one an event with Charles in the coming weeks. So, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope you have a wonderful evening wherever you are. Hope it's not too hot. And I will see you next Wednesday on the Wealth Wednesday. So, with that said and done, my friends, have a good evening. Take care. Bye for now.